Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, and we have Kim Shapira of the Kim Shapira Method, and we are going to talk about how to fuel your body and never ever diet again. So everyone's always trying to get you to do all kinds of little diets, this diet, that diet, and guess what? We are going to heal your relationship with food. We're going to build your habits so that you actually stick with a plan that works and you never ever have to diet again. So Kim, welcome.
I love that opening. Let's get into it. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about, I'm exactly the same way. I'm a true believer that when you diet, that is a recipe for a disaster. And then you're going to binge after that because you're going to feel so deprived. And it's like, let me feel deprived. Now I'm going to binge. Now I'm going to overeat. Then I'm going to feel guilty. And then I'm going to go back on another diet again. So tell me a little bit about what got you so passionate about people never dieting again.
Yeah. Oh gosh. We don't have enough time for that, but let me see if I can make it a very short story. I knew that food could make people sick or healthy. And I was always thought of myself as sick. I was a sick kid, so I just wanted to be healthy. And I was really surprised that people feared fat. And so what year was this? In the early 90s, and SnackWells had just come. And I was very curious what was wrong with fat, why people were so afraid of fat. And, going to college during that time and seeing women and the way they reacted. And so that was really where my passion came from originally. It's like, why? Why do we have to fear fat? And when I started my practice very early on, I put my clients on diets. Because I didn't think of myself as somebody who had an eating disorder or disordered eating, but mostly just more picky. I was a picky eater, I would have said, if I believed in labels. And my first client was a therapist, and she lost 30 pounds. And then she told me she was going to gain the weight back. And so this was very triggering for me in a lot of different ways. And she then told me that her husband wanted to be intimate with her all the time. And she had been molested as a child. And so this really kind of struck me as this fear of fat, and now fat or food and body weight as a protection mechanism. And so that's really where my entire passion comes from, is how we are in our relationship with food.
One of your first steps is to eat when you're physically hungry. And when people say this, right? Like everyone's like, well, duh, like eat when you're physically hungry, but it's not duh. Like it really not. To me, this is why I have gotten so passionate. Like when I learned about fasting and intermittent fasting, it was the first time that I realized, oh, okay, my stomach is now growling. I actually understand when I'm hungry. Because when I thought I was hungry before, I wasn't actually hungry. It was just like, well, maybe my blood sugar dropped and I thought I was hungry, but I actually wasn't. So I want you to kind of really expand on this, eat when you're physically hungry.
Yeah. So in the beginning of my career, which is about 28 years ago, I used, as I was saying, put people on diets. And I noticed that nobody was paying attention to what their body was needing. They were only paying attention to what was outside of them. And so I kept saying, do you get hungry? And hunger is in direct correlation to how metabolically active your body is, how well you are. And so if you have high levels of body fat, you're going to have a lower level of hunger. You don't need as much food to maintain your weight when you have high body fat. And so it kind of like opened the door for me to help people get grounded inside of their body. And as you know, I have 6 simple rules. But I really, even before I even start with the rules, I actually want people to know where their mind is, because so many people are like, well, tell me about intermittent fasting. Tell me about celery juice. Tell me about anything else but what's going on in my body. But once we find our mind and we recognize that we're safe in this moment, like you said, oh, this is what hunger feels like. If we were to just eliminate all the other noise and focus on hunger, we would realize hunger is a little scary. I'm a little scared to be hungry. And it's because now we're focusing on our physical body's reaction, and our body wants us to be safe at all times and survive every moment. And if we get hungry, then our survival is at risk. And so this is why when you were showing that feudal cycle of undereat, overeat, undereat, overeat, it's because we kind of go a little beast-like in the fact that we're starving and our body won't let us stay hungry. So we overeat, right? And so many of us have shame and persecution around that, but we're not realizing our body, we're ignoring our basic needs of our body. And nobody thinks, oh my gosh, how many times am I going to have to pee today? We just naturally do it, even though it could be a nuisance. And hunger, we should be hungry 5 times a day. We should be hungry every couple hours because our body is naturally regulating its blood sugar and our metabolism.
I don't know about you guys, but I am stressed. And if you're feeling overwhelmed this holiday season, then I get it. With all the family get-togethers, it is just a relentless source of stress. But anyway, there is something that I've got called Stress Guardian, and it's actually made by Bioptimizers, the people who make the magnesium breakthrough, which I love, love, love. But anyway, they are literally made this new product. It has 14 adaptogenic herbs, and it just regulates your stress. I just actually took some right this second, and it's awesome. If you go to stressguardian.com/wasteaway and put in waste away for 10% off your first order, it's stressguardian.com/wasteaway. Go there now. So let's talk about eat what you love, because this is something that I am super passionate about, but I've actually had a transition in how I've thought about this. Okay. And I'll explain it. So in my book, it's called Waste Away Through Intermittent Fasting. And I talk about how, eating what you love, but there's certain things that you might have to adjust. So for example, I am a big fan of eating what you love. And so let's say right then I'm craving a burger. Well, I know that when I eat gluten, I feel like death warmed over. Like I just am literally like, I can't move. My joints hurt. Everything bothers me. So for me, if I want a burger, I'm going to eat a burger, but I'm going to wrap it in lettuce, because I know that eating the bun of that burger, I'm going to feel terrible. But if someone else, if they can eat the bun and they don't feel terrible, they don't have a gluten allergy and they feel fine eating it, I'm like, go for it. If you feel like $1,000,000 eating that bun, then go for it and eat it. I physically feel terrible just because my gut is not 100% healed and I just don't feel good doing it. I have to eat what I love, but I have to tailor that window of what I can eat and still eat what I love, but I've got to make a few modifications so I'm still eating what I love, but within these certain boundaries that I'm not like, oh my gosh, I eat this and then I'm on the floor.
Well, what I'm hearing you say is that you're really honoring what's going on with your body. So remember, I said you have to eat when you're hungry. And then rule number 2 is to eat what you love. But the caveat is that you can only eat foods that love you back. And so there is a difference between food allergies and food intolerances. And food allergies never go away, and food intolerances are reversible. And so like you said, you need to heal your gut, which at different parts of our lives, we all have to heal our gut. And suddenly a food that you were always eating is affecting you. And it's because either stress, antibiotic, lifestyle, something is interacting with your gut that needs some attention. So remember, the rule is eat what you love, but only foods that love you back. So you're actually honoring that rule. And the thing is what you said is, if I'm craving a burger, so the next rule is to eat without distractions. And we eat because of cravings. We eat because the food is in front of us, and we eat for emotional reasons. And remember, I only want you to eat for hunger. So if somebody says to me, I'm eating because I'm craving a burger, I would say a craving is not hunger. You need to be hungry when you eat, and it can be a burger, but you do need to make sure it's hunger, not a craving, right? Usually cravings are indications, again, an opportunity that you need to look and see what's going on physically. Are you getting enough iron? Are you eating enough food? Are you craving salt? what's going on with your endocrine system, like all the different things if you're having a physical craving, if that makes sense. But it sounds like you're doing what you should be. But we didn't finish the first part of the rule 1, which is eat when you're hungry, but take your normal portion and cut it in half. And that cutting in half becomes a fail safe. So what I want you to do with the second half is wait 15 minutes to see if you need more. And that prevents people from overeating and undereating, especially since I want people to be hungry every 3.5 hours.
I agree. I disagree with part of that. I don't agree about the eating every 3.5 hours. I'm a big fan. So I only eat in about a 6-hour eating window. I usually eat between 12 and 6 is kind of my area, because I feel like starting, every time you start, it's a struggle to try to stop. So, but like for me, the less times that I start is better. But I love, we're on the same page with everything that you're saying. I'm 100%. The only part that I'm not on board with is I don't like the idea of eating, because I want people's blood sugar to stabilize, and I want people to start eating, having their body use fuel, like fat for fuel.
Yeah.
But I want you to expand on that part. And hold on, there's one more thing I want to expand on.
Okay.
So I love what you said about eating only half of that meal and then putting it away for 15 minutes and then going back and eating some more. So really give some practical handles on that, because, if someone's at a restaurant per se, or, their whole family is getting up to eat, like, how does that work? But I'm with you. I think that is the magic sauce. And if someone can learn how to do it. So expand on that.
Yeah. So again, I try and separate emotions from physical body parts, right? So rule number 3 was to eat without distractions. And so again, we eat because the food is in front of us. We eat for physical cravings. We eat because we're, emotional for whatever reason. But I only want you to eat because you're physically hungry, which is kind of like a hunger pang. There can be emptiness in your stomach. There can be some noise and then growling, a hollowness. It's not painful. It's not scary. Sometimes it could be really, really bad. Like you haven't eaten in many hours and now your blood sugars are also affected and you're cranky and some of the other things. But hunger itself is not scary or painful. And it's a sign, just like your bladder tells you have to go to the bathroom. It's just a sensation from your body, from a hormone called ghrelin, that's saying it's time to eat. And then what happens when we do eat, and we choose slowly and mindfully, and one way to know that your body is actually ready to eat is when you actually smell your food and have saliva released. That's a good sign that your body is calm and ready to digest. So what happens when you start with your first half, now it's hitting your stomach, and it takes about 15 minutes from the very first bite of your food for the next hormone, leptin, to reach in and say, wait a minute, we have food now in our stomach. We're satisfied. And this signals our brain. I'm like, wait, I can't even, I'm like, leptin. Did I say gluten? I meant leptin. Sorry.
No, you did. You said leptin.
I did. Okay. I don't know where my mind is. So ghrelin tells us we're hungry. Leptin tells us we're satisfied. And every single one of us has the ability to read both of these hormones that are dictating whether we need food or not. And so you know that if you've gone to a restaurant and you were starving and you ate a piece of bread, and then 10 minutes later, you're no longer hungry, but your meal shows up and you're like, I guess I'll eat it anyway. Anytime we eat and we're not physically hungry, we actually store that as fat. Because when you eat and you're not hungry, you're actually telling your body, prepare for a war. You need to save this. That's why I'm eating it, right? And so in order for your body to give up weight that's stored, we actually want to lower stress. So we want to be conscious of our appetite and how much we need now. And if you are somebody who's just attempting to lose weight and you have 20 pounds or more to lose 10 pounds, whatever it is, 50 pounds, you may not be as hungry as you think. And I would really kind of urge you, if you can't tell if you're hungry or not, to do nothing. It's kind of like saying, I'm not sure if I have to pee. You'll know when you know. And you don't know how you know, but you know. And so hunger will be very clear. But if you are unsure if it's emotional or hunger, do nothing.
Guys, I just want to interrupt for just a second, and I want you to hear Paul Saladino talk about why liver is so important. And if you don't like liver, we have another option for you.
Your ancestors were eating liver. And the reason that this sort of wisdom has been passed down is because liver is very nutritious. It's basically nature's multivitamin. If you look at the nutrients in meat, they're great. You've got zinc, you got B6, you got B12, you got some K2. But if you look at liver, it really complements what's in muscle meat. And there are many unique nutrients found in organs, specifically liver as a powerhouse of these, that are difficult to obtain outside of liver. Like meat and organs are like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. They're supposed to be eaten together. The easiest way to eat liver is just to do it raw. If you don't want to eat liver raw, you can cook it. But the reason that I like to do it raw is because there are unique nutrients in liver that are probably somewhat degraded when you cook the liver.
This really is like the most nutrient-rich supplements that you can find, and they are amazing. I have tried them. I absolutely love them. So just go to heartandsoil.co, use the coupon code ChantelRay, and save you some money there. So good. So number 3, so eat when you're hungry is number 1. Eat what you love is number 2. Number 3 is eat without distractions. So I want to talk about that one real quick. And I agree with it 100%, but I'm playing devil's advocate.
Do it.
So for me, my number 1 problem, I mean, hands down, is that I eat too fast. And so when someone says to eat without distraction, it makes it even harder for me to eat slow. So what I'll do sometimes, let's say it's lunchtime, I will actually do it when I'm working because it's easier for me to distract myself. So for example, let's say I have food right there next to me when I'm work. I can eat a bite of food, then put the fork down, and now I can do, now I'll do a few emails. It's giving me something to do. So now it's slowing me down. So then I'll eat another bite of food. Maybe I'll write a couple more emails. For me, because my biggest problem is eating slow, it's very difficult for me to just sit for 25 minutes and just stare at the food and then take a bite and then do nothing and be like, let me just do nothing.
Yeah.
So I want you to address that and how you feel about that and how you eat yourself with distraction.
Yeah. So a lot of people say they love food and they really just don't want to be alone with it. So I would really challenge if they love food. Do you know what I'm saying? So people fail because they think they already know what they need to do and they're neglecting what they need to do. So when I feel like I know what I need to do and I'm not doing it, it's annoying and I throw a temper tantrum a little bit. But the truth is an opportunity for me to work on something, right? And so the goal is for you to remain curious. 25 minutes, you don't need to be eating for 25 minutes. And most likely you're eating your first half of your food in 6 or 7 or 8 minutes, giving us 7 or 8 more minutes before that 15-minute mark. But your body actually needs to digest the food. And the first form of digestion happens in your mouth. And it happens with saliva and it happens with chewing. And most people don't chew their food long enough.
I know.
A lot of people don't. I hardly do. I have to practice. But that's the point, is I have to see that I'm not doing it and then actively slow myself down. And because our mind is neuroplasticity, we can change. And when we do slow down, it actually heals our gut, right? Because when you chew your food and the way that food breaks down, think about a piece of brick. If you were to cut a brick in half, it's not just going to simply slice and divide. It's going to have tiny little particles. And what happens when we chew our food and we have these particles that aren't fully broken down now, this is what actually creates an inflammatory response in the lining of our gut. And so just by slowing down, being mindful, taking deep breaths, allowing your body to feel safe, to chew your food longer than you think necessary, you are actually going to heal your gut. That's one part of how I feel. I have this story about this one client whose son walks into the kitchen and the mom says to the son, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm grabbing something to eat." And she said, you just had lunch. And he said, "I know, but I have my math tutor now." And she said, "Yeah, exactly." And he said, "I need something fun in my mouth." So we do not like to be bored. We do not like to be stressed. And our mind will always give us way to have more fun in the moment. And it could be that emails are hard, or that you're bored, or that for whatever reason. And it's actually making the task or work more fun. That's one thing. The second thing is we do everything 47% the way we did the day before. So you have trained this behavior to eat and then email, eat and then email. And it's just the exact same thing that you can retrain to now take a 5-minute break, eat your food that is nourishing your body because you love your body, slow down. You can play music, you can be distracted, but you have to be intentional.
So when you're eating, like, give us some example. What are you doing? Are you just kind of just eating? You're not doing anything else when you're eating?
No. I would say start without distraction. And then once you're really good at honoring your thoughts, which are happening every second of the day, then you can go back and be slightly distracted. But like if I have a carrot here, I'm not popping the carrot in my mouth ever. This carrot could be 2 bites. It could be 3 bites. We're rewarded in the anticipation that we get to eat. And remember, our brain is looking for pleasure. So the reward that I get to eat is so good for me. And we need to change the reward to the carrot is in my mouth and it's taking care of my body.
One of the step number 4 you said is get 10,000 steps. And I love that because you've got to be moving. Because I think a lot of people are like, I went to the gym, I lifted a few weights, but they're not getting that 10,000 steps. And that 10,000 steps, I'm telling you, is a game changer. The more I walk, literally the skinnier I am, and a friend of mine said something to me. She's like, "Gosh, you look," and I just saw her this morning. I hadn't seen her in a while. She's like, "Gosh, you look really skinny." And I was like, thanks, but one of the things that I've been doing is just walking. So talk about that. What are you kind of doing and how are you implementing that to go, okay, no matter what, I'm getting the 10,000 steps every day?
Yeah. I mean, I personally am getting up early and I'm making it a priority. So if you're having an excuse that you don't have time for it, then you're actually just making it so you don't have time for it. But if you make it a priority and you put it in your calendar as something that is part of your day, what ends up happening is you start falling in love with it. And so where my mind used to say whenever I was emotional or stressed, shopping, I need something new, this is a good idea. Now my mind is like, when I feel stressed, I can't wait to go for a walk because I'm listening to music, I'm calling friends, I'm meditating, I'm out, with all the trees and the flowers, and it's beautiful. But in our physical body, walking decreases our risk of sudden death. Almost every disease like Alzheimer's, cancer, every disease is decreased by walking. It regulates our blood sugars. It helps our mood, our digestion, our sleep, literally everything. Nobody regrets going for a walk and everybody ends up loving it. And I would say if you're somebody who hasn't gone out for a walk or isn't moving, find something that you love to do and set a timer for 5 minutes and just start for 5 minutes. The average American gets about 3,500 steps a day and they're obese. We need, in order to maintain our weight, exercise. Exercise does not help you lose weight, but it helps you maintain your weight. We cannot maintain any weight loss without exercise.
I think that, just for people who are listening, just so you know, if you want to do 10,000 steps, that's approximately 5 miles a day. And, depending on how much weight you want to lose, if you want to burn an extra 500 calories a day, that's about a pound a week if you go by calories. And so really, even if someone could try, I would say for me, 11,000 steps is kind of where I want to try to be. 11 to 12,000 for me if I want to lose weight. If I want to kind of
Actually, it won't help you lose weight. I don't. No, it can't at all. It's it doesn't work like that. If you were to increase your steps, and let's say you do 12,000 steps and then suddenly you do 8,000 and you're inconsistent, that's actually what puts weight on. It's the consistent behavior that helps you stay the same weight. In order to lose weight, it's 90% of what you're eating, only 10% exercise.
Right.
What it does is it helps build muscle that's going to increase your metabolism. That's going to help you with so many other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but exercise, unfortunately, doesn't really help you lose weight. That's a major myth. And walking is one type of movement, but we also need cardio. We also need flexibility and strength training. So anytime that you're moving, even standing up, even using your hands when you talk, those are movements, and we need to move. We need to be very fidgety.
Okay. And then let's quickly go over the last few steps.
Okay. Rule number 5 is to drink 8 cups of water. This is how we naturally detox our body, which is done through, breathing, through sweat, from urine and from feces. And we need to drink enough water every day to help our cell turnover and detox every single one of our cells. I don't think that coffee or tea count as water because that requires your body to do something, but the water is just already self-healing. So 8 cups of water, and that's all you need. And the last rule is to get 7 hours of sleep. The average American gets about 6.5 hours of sleep, and this increases our cortisol levels, making it impossible to lose weight and impossible to stay the same weight. So if you're having any problems falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up feeling unrested, then you need to work on your circadian rhythms and get into a really good sleep schedule and be consistent. Your body thrives in consistency.
Awesome. Well, this has been amazing. Tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Thanks for having me. I am at Kim Shapira Method everywhere on all of the social sites. Again, Kim Shapira Method.
Awesome. Well, you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.